Evening, everybody. How's everyone doing tonight? Hadn't been live in a few days, so I thought I'd come on tonight and touch on a few topics. I don't know how many of y'all knew about the Alabama special Senate election that took place last night between Judge Roy Moore and incumbent Luther Strange, but it was pretty much a blowout. For those of you who don't know, we had a governor that had to resign in disgrace for having an affair with one of his aides back last spring, and essentially, Strange was given the attorney general's. He was attorney general, and he basically stopped investigating the case to get Sessions' seat when Sessions left to go be Trump's attorney general. And the whole thing probably would have went away, and Bentley probably would have got away with the affair. But then he turns around and takes the lady to the inauguration in the National Governor's Ball or something like that. But anyway, so he has to resign in disgrace. Luther Strange gets appointed to the seat, and he runs for re-election. And the entire Republican establishment was behind Roy Moore. Luther Strange. They spent $25 million on this race against Roy Moore. And us Alabamians, we're real weird about elections. What we did last night was the biggest screw you to the Republican leadership that we could give, and that's happened in several races. In the 1986 governor's race, we had a race here where it was between a lieutenant governor and an attorney general, and Lieutenant Governor Baxley was the establishment's choice. That's what they wanted. Graddick narrowly defeats him in an upset. Baxley contests the election because he said Republicans crossed over and voted in the primary, which is against the Democratic laws here in Alabama. It's not, or the Democratic Party's internal laws. If you vote in the Republican primary, you can't cross over and vote in the Democratic runoff, which the Republicans don't have that. If you vote in the Democratic primary here, you can vote in the runoff. But anyway, so Baxley contested the race. It went to the Alabama Supreme Court. The Alabama Supreme Court directed the Alabama Democratic Executive Committee to either declare Baxley the winner because the illegal crossover voting is why Graddick won, because Graddick had been courting them, or to hold a new runoff. Instead of holding a new runoff, the Democratic Party appointed Baxley the winner, and in that November, the Alabama voters went out and elected the first Republican governor since Reconstruction by 56 to 44% margin. And that's happened here in a couple of races too. Probably the 94 race is safe to assume that Folsom was the establishment's candidate, and Fob James beat him. And then really in 2010 again. Hey, how are you? It was Robert Bentley, and he just came out of nowhere. And the establishment's candidate was this guy named Bradley Byrne. They thought it was going to be between him and Tim James in the runoff, because these two guys were just duking it out. I mean, negative ad after negative ad. But Bentley made this promise about he wouldn't take a salary or something, and he barely ekes into the runoff. He beat Tim James by about like 127 votes. And it was kind of shocking. But anyway, the establishment's candidate was Bradley Byrne. And in the runoff, the whole establishment was behind him, and Bentley just killed him. And that's basically. And then we had that in a mayor's race one time in '99 when our retiring mayor was leaving. He resigned 6 months early, appointed a successor. Everybody he wanted to lead the city council, and they were all defeated in that election. And then we just had an election here last month where the incumbent mayor, who 63% of the people voted against him in the primary, and now he's facing a runoff, which he will undoubtedly lose. But last night's vote was not, and it happened just like I said it would. I mean, when I said the way Trump was going to beat Hillary, I said, there's a place here that's called the I-65 corridor here in Birmingham, and it's where your moderate to business Republicans live. And I said Strange is going to carry that, the Mountain Brook, Vestavia, Hoover, Pelham, etc. I said, but Moore is going to run it up in the rural counties, and I mean run it up. And his cushion in the I-65 corridor is not going to be enough to offset Moore's lead in the rural counties, and that's exactly what happened. Moore actually did better in the I-65 corridor. It was only a 14% turnout, but but our largest county, Jefferson, Strange only got 32,000 votes, and surprisingly Moore got 23,000, which he ran a lot stronger in Jefferson County than I thought. But in the rural areas, I mean, some of these counties was 8,000 votes to 4, 3,000 votes to 1,100. I mean, he just swamped them in these rural counties. And then what really hurt him was Mo Brooks, who finished third in the northern part of the state, his district. He endorsed Roy Moore, and Strange only carried one county in his district, and that was Madison County, and that was by far the biggest county. And Strange had to run it up there too against Moore to have a chance, and I think Strange got like 20,900 votes to Roy Moore's 19,600. So it was a county that he lost. Also, the third most populous county in Alabama is oddly enough, Strange was counting on this county heavily. I mean, he was counting on it to run the numbers up, and it was in Mobile County, and Strange actually lost Mobile County to Roy Moore. Roy Moore got 25,000 votes to Strange's 20,000, and then the fourth one, Montgomery, where our capital is, had a very low turnout. Moore beat him in Montgomery County too. So out of the four, and then Shelby County too is a heavily Republican county here, and it's where a lot of your more affluent Republicans live as well, along that I-65 corridor. And Strange only won Shelby County with 15,000 votes to Moore's 12,000. So not only, like in this last election, did Trump swamp Hillary in the rural areas like Strange did here, he overperformed in other areas. I mean, I never would have thought that he would have performed as well as he did in Jefferson, Shelby, Montgomery, or Mobile, or probably Madison for that matter, because Madison is a very affluent, I think it's the most affluent county in Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, because of the Space and Rocket Center there. Sorry, I got off topic. But anyway, that was just the point of this is Alabamians don't like being told who to vote for, and the Republican establishment last night got it stuck to them. And it's going to be very interesting now because Moore's so right-wing, like his base is evangelical, right-wing, hardcore. And the guy he's running against, Doug Johns, is a former U.S. attorney here. He prosecuted some guys that was involved in some church bombings back in the 60s. He's a very moderate, very likable guy. And in the last race that Moore ran in 2012, he was running against a guy named Bob Vance Jr. That's for Supreme Court Justice, and we all know Moore ended up getting removed from office. But Romney carried the state of Alabama with 65% of the vote against Obama. Moore only beat Vance with 51.5% of the vote. So you might see the Democratic Party pour a lot of money into this state because they could really have a chance of defeating Roy Moore if they put some effort into it. But anyway, it's going to come down to if those Republicans and moderates cross over, are they going to be able to make up more strength in rural Alabama? I mean, because it's just, his strength is just ironclad. I mean, it's just he'll run up huge numbers in those counties. But anyway, the general election was gonna be fun to watch. The primary race went and runoff went pretty much how I called it. But anyway, y'all pay attention to December 12th and see if Alabama puts a Democrat in the Senate, at least for 1 year, because this seat's actually up for next year. So whoever wins is going to have to start campaigning again. But anyway, guys, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Stay tuned and talk to y'all later. Good evening.